All right, welcome back to Overtake. Sim Formula Europe will take place next week from January 15 to 18 in Maastricht, the Netherlands. As always, it's going to be a great exhibition featuring a mix of sim racing and flight simulation, and there will also be plenty of cars, like legends like the Ferrari F40 or Lamborghini Diablo, legendary cars that you can see in person. Perfect opportunity, and that's not all. You can also see some legendary persons. Two of them whom my guests here today, and I will be talking to them about SFE and everything that is currently on their minds. So welcome to James, also known as GamerMuscle. The last time I was at an expo with him, he got a well-known Italian studio boss to rap about how much he likes pineapple pizza. And we also have here warm welcome to Laurence Dusoswa, author of the children's alphabet book SS for Sim Racing, whose charm would make even Max Verstappen make room for him on the racetrack. So yeah, welcome guys. I hope you had a great first week in 2026. How about you, Laurence?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been great. I had a little bit of time to just catch up on some channel work and stuff, but yeah, straight back into it.
Yeah, I've been bashing out the laps on the seatbelt tensioner. It's 2026 is the year of the seatbelt tensioner.
Ah, you got this cubic tensioner as well, or a different one?
Yeah, the cubic one on the rig, yeah.
What do you think? I was quite impressed with it. I expected it to be more of a show than everything else, but it really has some good utility, right?
You know, I think it's awesome. It's surprisingly really good with flight sims. That's not what driving sim people want to hear, but if you go upside down in a glider, and gliders obviously better than cars, and you feel it like tension up on you, it really does. It really does feel like you're upside down. It's crazy, but yeah.
Are you? I'm no glider expert, but are you supposed to go upside down in a glider?
It depends how well the flight's going. Take that either way.
It's going to be so exciting though to see flight stuff there, right?
Let's talk about the sim racing part first, because I think it's an interesting combination to have you both here, because I think lately James focused more on the software side of things, more reviewing Assetto Corsa Evo updates, and Laurence more focused on hardware reviews. And let's maybe start with the hardware part, because I think that's the bigger part even then for SFE. Laurence, it's a big exhibition, probably also for brands like SimuCube, Usher, because the market also on the high-end stuff, high-end wheelbases is really hard right now, yeah. I saw SimuCube had a bit of backlash, so some of the reviewers had their little quirks with the SimuCube 3, so they have to recover from that a little bit, I believe. What's your feeling about this 20 Newton meter plus market right now?
It's, there's obviously a kind of a sweet spot of where you want to be with force feedback, because you want to have the range to be able to feel multiple things at once, really. And as soon as what your sim is trying to tell you gets complicated, you can run out of headroom. It's similar to audio. It's same type of concept. When you generally have a lot available and you have high quality hardware, which to be honest, most hardware now is good quality, you do benefit from having a higher peak output. Once you go over 20 though, do you really need it? I don't know. So when we say about SimuCube that maybe there's a certain amount of disappointment that this wasn't done or that wasn't done, firstly, I will say that it's definitely not on the hardware side. It's been mainly software and the experience. I guess the only part on the hardware side is the USB pass-through, which is a big issue that people have. Right now, this year, I know you said seatbelt tensioners, James. I think we're talking by the end of the year, every manufacturer needs to have USB pass-through. And I also believe that telemetry-based force feedback is just the thing at the moment.
Telemetry stuff. Well, funny story about this. So I think about 6 years ago now, I was talking to wheel manufacturers, some at various companies, and I'm like, guys, since we've got these 8 Newton meter, 12 Newton meter DDs, and they're all fantastic, and DD wheels have been fantastic since the OSW, like 10 years ago now, like in fundamentals. And I was like, guys, you do realize all the products are basically the same. The software, the telemetry force feedback, and the software is going to be if you can do that first and simply, that will be what will differentiate your product. And even all the way back then, you already had the sim experience, the AccuForce wheel, which actually did the telemetry stuff and demonstrated that it's quite decent or a good USP. And now I think we're at that point where there seems to be a little bit of hype behind the SimuCube 3 has some telemetry stuff, and then the V&M wheelbase. And you see so many people talking about the V&M wheelbase, and I think they would have just totally ignored it if it wasn't for the telemetry stuff. So yeah, I totally agree. I think I'd say above everything else, decent telemetry-based force feedback, that just working and you've been able to set it up with all the simulators, that will be the most important differentiator for DD wheels on the market, and not the strength of the wheels. It will all just be like, who does the best telemetry?
The amount of exhibitors is really, really good this year. We even have Fanatec this year, which for me is a real highlight, and really good to see that these brands are also going to the Sim Formula Europe.
I definitely think that having Fanatec there is going to change the shape of what the event is in a very positive way, because Fanatec is in such a position at the moment. They've announced some really exciting products as well that people are going to get their hands on for the first time. It traditionally hasn't been as busy as what we've seen in Dortmund the last 2 years. So getting the chance to speak to the people who actually made it, spend time with the hardware, and go back again, try it again, try something else, go back and try it again. We need to savor those moments as soon as possible over this year, next year. And so, because at the rate it's growing, it will become as popular and as big as what we see in other places. So for me personally, to answer your question, long answer to a short question, for me, meeting the people from the companies is a huge thing for me. Not necessarily from a channel point of view, because the channel showcases my enjoyment of sim racing, but speaking to these people and, when you ask them a good question, seeing their face light up and they're like, oh, actually my friend has a rally car and I noticed this when I was doing a passenger spin and that's why we made this product. It's like, what a cool story. And you get to hear those stories from the people who were actually involved.
We'll also have a booth this year with Overcheck again. It's in the same location as last year, right in the middle on this transition to the Interclassics. So that will be nice. I will bring probably 3 rigs this year. And I also thought about getting the rally rig back. It was always, for example, a little anecdote from last year. So Kalle of SimuCube was always coming to our booth, and we had a little rally challenge going on, and we might extend that this year, that we have a leaderboard and everything, that everyone can take part in this. So maybe a little rally challenge, maybe a hot lap challenge. We'll see. We have some great giveaways as well. And it's you're right, Laurence. It's always so great to meet the interesting people behind all of this, be it SimuCube, Fanatec, and everyone else. And also the smaller brands that just showcase their products. They're like Detail Design, for example, or Zen Sim Wheels. And last year, for example, we met Kevin Abring, former WRC driver. He spent literally hours to tweak our rally setup with the SimMagic Alpha Mini wheel to make it feel good. It was so cool to see. So remember you, James, see you helping everyone. Yeah, when the exhibition was over, kinda, everyone was packing their boxes and stuff, and you were like, can I help here? Can I help there? That's the James that you don't see in the videos and on YouTube.
Helping.
How much
They're all like, oh, God, I wish he would leave us alone.
how much stuff did they let you take home?
No, they didn't notice. They've not noticed all the stuff that went missing, Laurence.
Maybe that was the reason James was offering his help to everyone.
We actually, there was a guy in the Interclassics, couldn't start. They had like a 1930s car, and a bunch of us and some guys at ImSim, we would push starting the car through the hall as well to get it going, which is kind of cool. And just I think it was the 1930s, guys. It was very old, put it that way. But those cars starting is it's a spectacle.
It's amazing. I'd like to add one thing to what you were saying, Mikael, about the people. Because of the Interclassics, the audience that Interclassics brings, we need to consider, there are only a couple of thousand billionaires in the world. There are, I don't know how many millionaires, but many of them are walking around discovering sim racing for the first time. And there are people that are so wealthy that have cars there that they have people representing them at the event who are walking around learning what cars are for sale, whatever. And they're seeing sim setups like what we've seen in the past from ImSim, very expensive setups. And they're saying, oh yeah, I'll have one of those for, my client would like it. It's this crazy world that we as normal consumers get to experience, and you get to hear these conversations going on. for me, that's super exciting.
Yeah, I had a remarkable chat with one guy that asked me about getting into sim racing, and he didn't know anything. Yeah, he said like my knowledge level is zero basically, and I want to have something for my office, and then we started talking and about prices, and he saw one of our setups there. It was a sim lab rig with some, I don't know, some magic wheel or something, and then he was like, yeah, how much would this be like, and what would be a good price for a sim rig? And then I always ask people first about their budget. So what's the budget? Then I can maybe give you some recommendations. And he was like, yeah, 100K. So, okay, then we can get a quite beefy setup for you.
Yep. And we need to consider that those are the people, and traditionally have been the people, who have accelerated motion and our interest in motion. Even why is VNM so prominent in the whole telemetry force feedback thing? It's like, well, because they do a lot of messing about with motion. And at some stage, someone says, hey, can we just turn this into force feedback and bypass the 25-year-old protocol that exists, or 30-year-old protocol, and just go straight into the telemetry?
Yeah, you know what? I never tested a VNM wheelbase yet. I tested VRS in the meanwhile, and this will be interesting for me. So this is my reason also, or what I'm looking forward to when going to Sim Formula Europe, testing really different wheelbase manufacturers and see how is it set up, and how does it feel like. Yeah, the new Simocube wheelbase versus maybe someone has a VNM, I don't know. Thermaltake also getting into the market now. They are also back. And also motion, as you touched on the motion topic. DOF Reality will be there. They also offer affordable systems. So I feel like also motion sim is getting more and more affordable and approachable. It's a lot of stuff that you can try this year. And as you also mentioned, esports competitions, Laurence, esports also back. And what I really like, this is a small hidden detail so far that barely anyone knows about, but they will have a fantasy car or a sim racing car, the Vicarus AEK. It's like I don't know, it's between GT3 and GT4, I feel like. And they will use, again, Marcel Offermann's The Last Garage software. So that's going to be interesting. Also, the evolution of Marcel's tech is always a very special thing that you can only ever experience in Maastricht. So James, you are very critical about force feedback and how a sim feels. Yeah, we all know that. You had your disputes with Assetto Corsa.
Hang on here. I'm not that critical. Right. Just to get this on the record, my thing is, I want a simulator that has controllable slip at the limit, like a real car, and has force feedback that describes the oversteer, the understeer, and gives you a good dynamic range for that. Now, I don't care how that's done, and it doesn't have to be the most detailed thing ever. I think AMS1 and AC1 are really quite good, but even they could be better. But that's it. I'm not that critical. It's just that the bar is so low. When you look at like LMU at the moment, it's force feedback, and iRacing by default, and ACC by default. The bar it's hilariously low quality force feedback for detail that it seems like I'm really like, oh my god, force feedback. It's just like, no, we've got these £2,000 steering wheels, or even £500 steering wheels. Why is stuff worse than it was 15 years ago?
1,000 hertz force feedback.
Yeah.
I think that to get people to watch this video, you could at the start get them to take bets on how long it takes for James to go on a force feedback round.
I didn't bring it up.
It was me who triggered him a little bit. Yeah.
I think one of the great things about Sim Formula, though, you talked a bit about the hardware and what Laurence and what you look for with it, is one of the things I really loved about it in previous years is it's a little bit less hectic than Sim Racing Expo, which Sim Racing Expo 4 or 5 years ago was quite chill, and you could, you wouldn't have a headache after 10 minutes of being in a room with noise. And that's gone now, which is nice. You've got a big Sim Racing Expo event, fantastic. But Sim Formula Expo is just so much more relaxed. You can actually have a conversation without going insane. And what you'll find if you actually take the time to talk to you'll have the engineers on the booth, you'll have even people that are just mulling around, that are people that are involved in doing industry physics, industry tire model work, and things that you're not going to find. You're not going to have the information is not going to be on the internet publicly. You can have a lot of private conversations and really honest conversations, which if you only are in the sim racing online space, you'll get a kind of view and narrative of physics, force feedback, games, hardware. You'll get a view, right? But if you go to these trade shows and you actually talk to the esports drivers directly, the developers directly, the engineers directly, you will get a much clearer picture, sometimes with some expletive words included. But that's the thing, you only get that off the record, more realistic view of sim racing from trade shows. And with Sim Formula being not too noisy, you can actually take the information in. You can actually have an hour-long conversation with someone who probably doesn't want an hour-long conversation with you, but yeah, you can. That's it's a really nice thing. It's like you were saying with your booth having a WRC driver set stuff up, and
people tend to have a bit more time to talk to you and stuff. So that I agree. Yeah, you can. By the way, guys, always grab René when you see him. He's always open for a chat.
Yeah. He doesn't talk much though. No, he's so quiet. That's the difficulty with him. It's hard to get anything out of him.
If I was to give anybody watching this a bit of advice, if you've never been to one of these or whatever, and if you're part of a community, most sim racers are part of some form of a community, just in like the general channel of your Discord or however you organize, ask who's going to Sim Formula, because there's such a huge population around that area. If you're thinking of going yourself, just ask. One of the reasons obviously is to meet people from the community. It's an amazing thing, but just based on what was just being said as well, many of these booths give away prizes, and the chances of you winning prizes, really good prizes. Anybody from my community who's been has said that was so worth it for the price of, a ticket, and local accommodation is pretty affordable. Getting there isn't difficult because it's right in the center of Europe. It's such a worthwhile experience, and you may go home with some goodies. If you have some money in your bank account, you may also be tempted to spend it and bring home some stuff.
We're saying as well, actually, it's not just esports drivers that get those goodies. You don't have to be like a pro. Yeah. It's one of the few events where I think last year some kid just got a sim. They were giving away some stuff, and some kid left with like a multi-thousand-pound sim rig and the setup or something, just because they were like, we got to give this away. Do you remember that? And so, like that doesn't tend to happen at even at Gamescom. The likelihood that you would get a £3,000 simulator is not very high, but there's just crazy giveaways going on at Sim Formula. Heusinkveld are going to have their new wheel there as well for people to try out. They had it at Sim Racing Expo, but also they'll have the rigs again that had the cars that Niels Heusinkveld has developed in AMS1 that are being used by a current. It's a GB4, where it's basically an F4 car and an F3 car, effectively. They'll have those rigs again. And with Sim Formula, again, you get more time to actually sit and try these things, I find, and it's especially on the earlier days in the week. So you can really try some of these cars and content that are just they're not publicly available. It's stuff that's used privately by race teams. And so it's a really good thing about Sim Formula. I'll be looking forward to.
As for Maastricht, and the area itself is beautiful. It's a really nice city there. It's quite easy to get around. It tends to be quite cold, so bring a jacket.
Cold is a word. It will be a massive blizzard.
Yeah.
Last year it wasn't snowing, but it was so cold. I remember getting out of the car and my knees hurting, because it was just so cold. But yeah, like I say, it is a nice one to get to. Like if you're in the UK, you can get this is how I'll be getting those. Just get the Eurotunnel to Brussels and then local train, and you can book it through the Trainline app as one ticket basically. Yeah, and so it's only a few hours to get there, which is quite nice. You don't have to mess around with airports or anything if you're in London.
And apparently, it only takes about 40 minutes to walk from the city centre out to where near the expo is, where my hotel was. Ask me how I know.
If you're dragging a partner along with you, you could get away with it. Like it's actually a nice place to visit. There's lots of historical buildings, nice museums, lots of waffles.
It's I think it's only about an hour and 10 minutes away from Spa. If you want to spend one of the mornings, just go out there, have a look. You're very, very central. It's well worth a trip. I guess I'm based in Ireland. James is based in England. We're making the effort to go over there. People from our communities do as well, and they never regret it. So the people who are within 2 or 3 hours drive, who can just go for a day and get their, very affordable day ticket, have few excuses, and they'll enjoy it. Everybody who goes for one day, towards the end of the day, when it comes time for them to go home, they say, "Oh, I wish I'd booked a hotel," because there's a vibe around the place.
Yeah.
But you could spend a whole day just doing the car, like if you didn't do the sim stuff and you've not been to one of those car shows, that's a day. It's a huge car event, so you could spend a whole day just looking at vintage cars or all it's a whole mixture of cars, isn't it? But you could, you could spend a day doing that. Yeah. So
there are many one-of-one cars there, cars that you will never ever see anywhere else. Lots of vintage stuff, but this year they also have the supercar foyer with brand new stuff, which is going to be incredible. And that's, I believe, right near where the sim setups are. So where before there would have been like a kind of a person checking tickets between the two, now you can just walk from one to the other, which is, I think, is just the best move they've ever made. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
I think, from that point
you
of view.
remember the stairs when they go down to the Interclassics where the overtake booth was placed? This is where you get directly into the supercar show. So it's the bridge kind of from the classic cars to the sim formula. It's quite nice. Yeah, it's definitely worth missing the Daytona 24 in iRacing for that show. And it's probably the highest density that you can brief sim racing on those events. So it's absolutely worth it going there. My moment of the year last year was really the one I had in my intro, James. You and a certain Italian sim racing developer.
What happened? I can't remember. What happened? Did I do something?
I have it on video.
What happened?
That wasn't Maastricht though, was it?
No, that was in Dortmund.
Yeah.
Well, no. Oh, which thing are we on about here? Oh, with the rapping.
The rapping, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Kunos they're probably falling out with me now because, I'm still not happy with Evo yet. I think it's still got a long way to go with the physics and force feedback. So we'll see.
What do you prefer, AC Rally or AC Evo when it comes to physics?
Oh, I think they both have a lot to go. Like AC1 is still just on another level of drivability. You have to go back into even Richard Burns Rally is better than AC Rally. I think AC Rally will be a fantastic game. Don't get me wrong. I've really enjoyed it. So don't get me wrong. And you can see they're working really hard on it. It's got the stuff there. Where I think it'll be a great game.
I'm a fan of AC1 as well, so maybe we have a certain bias in this as well. But we expect every single sim that comes out after AC1 to be at least as good from a driving point of view. And the graphics and all that is all great. That comes later. It's about the driving experience for me anyway, and I think you feel somewhat similar, James.
But I tell you what's funny though, Wreckfest 2 is so good. It's so good. You play that, and I'm like, its graphics are there. It's sort of simcade, but good simcade, and it feels connected. The developers are polishing it. It runs well, looks great, plays great. And so it's like you do have some developers that are actually nailing stuff. Keep in mind that the developers are often small. They're trying to do their best. Stuff's very complicated. There's not huge budgets. It's a small market. It was a different market back in the 2000s. Stuff like RBR was a complete accident. I think it's very easy to come across as if when you're older, you're like the old man shouting at the clouds and you're like, oh, why is the game's rubbish? And you're really sort of negative. I don't want to come across that way because I do appreciate how much work it takes to make any of these new games.
BeamNG obviously is another great example with huge potential. I guess we just have a high standard.
So it will be the year of the glider, the year of the telemetry force feedback.
The telemetry aspect, both the telemetry software and the telemetry on the hardware will be probably the most interesting part of force feedback for this year.
Absolutely. So my final question for you guys would be, what is the one thing that you want to add to your SimRig this year? What are you looking most forward to, or what do you plan to change?
I haven't had the pleasure of having a seatbelt tensioner on my rig yet. So that's probably a big one for me. Or I'd love to see some more cooled seats as well. Eau Rouge does a cooled seat. I don't particularly like the design of this seat, but I'm not changing it for love nor money because it's cooled. So if people make cooled seats, I'll be happy with that as well.
The seat is so critical because if you buy the wrong seat, you end up with a seat that is not perfectly suited for you, and you have some pressure point or some point where you receive pain, and that's really the worst. The seating position and the seat, right? So it's a super important decision.
A little segue, people should check out the Sabelt kit that allows you to do a seat fitting like in a real Formula car, where you put this thing into your seat, you sit into it for like 20 minutes, and it hardens, but it becomes like a cushion that perfectly fits your body. It's like, I think it's €100, €150. So it's not even that crazy. I could be wrong on that price, but if people are experiencing that kind of pain and stuff, it's a good investment.
On a budget, you can go to Dunelm or your whatever your fabric shop is, and you can buy memory foam squares, and that will, when you sit in it, will sit to it. It's like £5 for a sheet. So that's another. I do that on my lumbar because I have a bad back, old man bad back. I was going to say, it just occurred to me on the hardware this year we've got the Steam frame coming out from Valve. It's a new VR headset, and it'll have I believe it's a Wi-Fi 6 dongle. It'll be a dongle. Don't know what underlying tech it is. Eye tracking, and it might be quite an affordable price. So I think that will be really interesting in terms of new things coming out. It'll be really interesting to see if the Steam frame, the latency, because there's a lot of people with the Quest 3, there's a little bit of latency when you use even the USB cable, or when you use Wi-Fi, there's a bit of latency that some people don't like. Casual people won't care, but sort of esports or very hardcore, or just people that notice it, care about that little bit of encoding latency. So it'll be interesting to see what that's like, but also just the resolution, how light it is, eye tracking and the eye tracking possibilities. You've obviously had some eye tracking headsets already on the market, but that can be really important for performance. So I think Steam frame is kind of for me the really interesting, as someone that's I've been a big VR fanatic going back. I kind of sort of stayed away from it a bit.
We will meet each other very soon. So you'll be there both from Thursday to Sunday?
Yep.
Yeah. People should come up and say hi to Laurence. Don't talk to me. I don't like people.
I'll tell you what you can and can't say to GamerMuscle. If you want like a 5-minute conversation, it might be difficult.
They need to offer a tea bag.
Plenty of tea bags.
We'll all be friends. Everyone's really friendly. It's really awesome. I think just so because there's in sim racing, actually, it's a good thing to mention. There's a lot of people in sim racing. I think because the type of hobby it is, there's a lot of very introverted people. And to be honest, I used to be really introverted before YouTube, so I really appreciate. It can be quite stressful, the idea of going to one of these events and seeing people, and you're like, oh, do I talk to people? And what you'll find is. Yeah, everyone is so welcoming, even if you're like really quite introverted and quiet. It'll be fantastic, and people will like take the time to talk to you. No one's going to like judge you or anything. We're all loser sim racers.
It's like when dogs bark at each other through a fence, but when the fence is gone, they're like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?"
Yeah, everyone's so nice at the events, but after them, that's when the conversations happen, where we're like, oh, just that bloody Laurence and Mikael. Oh god,
the social scene in Maastricht is pretty good. Let me add that as well.
What scene?
The social scene. So like the late night bars and clubs and stuff.
I know who's letting the people dance on tables here. Okay. So see you guys hopefully next week, or the people out there. And if you can't make it, you will find, of course, impressions, videos, and we try to bring you everything, like on Lauren's channel, on James' channel, on our channel, and others that are also there. Keep an eye out for the videos that are coming next week or the week after the show. It was a pleasure talking to you, and it will be even more next week than in person. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Don't forget to also go over to the 2 channels now and subscribe, like. Yeah, exactly.
And what's that QR code? That would take you to a dodgy website.
That's the QR code. All right, guys. See ya.